Hello and welcome, Strategy Battle Gamers, to another GBHL YouTube channel video with your channel host GBHL James. And today we're going to be bringing you an army showcase. Not done one of these for a while, but I've just played a wonderful battle report against these guys that you can see in front. These absolutely beautifully painted miniatures against possibly first age subscriber. You're early days, aren't you?
Just after, I think, first age.
Just after first age, second age subscriber, but that doesn't make you any less important. We have got James Scullion here with us today. You may know him as Son of Gloin on YouTube and Twitter and the like. A big supporter of the channel and of HGG, and it's been wonderful having him here today to play against the Champions of Erebor. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is trying to showcase these wonderfully painted miniatures and talk a little bit about some of the techniques, who painted them, and exactly what they've done and what you asked for. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and it's over to James. So
I got in touch with Kev from Shadow and Flame to paint these guys. To be honest, what I asked for was to have them sort of straight out of the movie, and Kev was more than happy to jump on the chance to paint these guys up. Yeah,
because I don't think he has.
I think he's painted them once before.
Yeah, it's not one of those that comes up often on his painting queue, and I know that Kev
not
does.
All of them as well. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, you tend to get sort of bits and pieces. Lots of people send things like chucking a Dwalin in there or chucking a Thorin, of course, with the idea of using these models, because they are beautiful models, to maybe lead Warriors of Erebor and the like. Balin as well.
Yeah, Balin, Dwalin,
and Thorin. But to see a fully painted company is quite a spectacle. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about one of the things that really strikes me when I look at these miniatures is, of course, the bases. Now, we will be showcasing each individual miniature as this video goes on and talking about some of the little things that we like about them. But something that they all have in common are those wonderful green marble bases, which I'm going to have a little look at now. So tell me, what did you actually ask for him to do? Well,
we were sort of discussing like around the Erebor area, maybe out the front of Erebor, and sort of going a little bit out there, but didn't want just the generic gravel bases in like the greys or the browns or anything. So we sort of both came up with the idea of going in with like a marbly effect.
Yeah.
And then obviously from watching the movies, in some of the extended editions and the appendices and stuff, it's green.
Okay.
Which looks quite cool with like different flecks running through it.
Yeah.
And Kev's done marble before.
Yes. In fact, he's done a miniature for me. Now, remember, this is Gbhl James of Shadow and Flame, who is a channel sponsor, and he has done marble for me with Elrond, but a very different kind of end effect here, I have to say. So with Elrond, it was very much kind of as if he was on a pure kind of marble floor, but here it's obviously you're going for the green rather than the kind of more stone kind of
stony whites and greys.
That's right. And I have to say, I think that even his marble technique, I mean, this guy's a great painter, but his marble technique has come on leaps and bounds even since that point, because these are incredibly impressive.
Yeah, he did do like a few tests of sort of different colours and effects, different ways of doing it. So I've got quite a lot of photos sent to me of that, and then we both decided on this one was probably the best one that he came out with. And
that's one of the great things about Kev as well, when you contact him for commission.
You get so much choice, and he's always in contact with you, even if he hasn't made it to your minis in the queue. He's still chatting with you and sort of letting you know where he is with everything else. Yeah,
they're very, very busy, very popular guys for obvious reasons, because they do such wonderful jobs as this. So yeah, when you look at those, that instantly strikes you when looking at this Champions of Erebor, is looking at those fabulous bases. What made you decide to get hold of the Champions of Erebor? I actually thought it was quite a good value buy, really, wasn't it?
Because it all came in as one. It is a bit costly to grab them all at the same time. But if you go through JT, obviously you get that.
So that's JT Noble of Awkward Battles, for those of you that...
Percentage knocked off.
Yeah, so you tend to get about 20% off.
Yeah, 10 to 20% off.
Thereabouts.
So yeah, and I've got loads of dwarves, and it's like my main force. So I thought, why not go all out and have Champions of Erebor?
You're a dwarf. Well, I've not heard a Dubakar from you today, and we've been playing. So come on, go on, let us have it. Let the subscribers have it.
Dubakar!
There we go. Look at that, for winners. So what we're probably going to do now that we've shown you them as a group, looking in all their finery, together. What we're going to do is we're going to come back and show you each individual miniature and talk about some of the techniques that Kev has done with those. Hello, Thorin Oakenshield, son of Thrain, son of Thror. Here he is in all of his splendour. Now, I am a huge fan of this miniature. Huge fan of this miniature. Comes, of course, in the Finecast pack with Bilbo.
Yeah.
Something I picked up recently because I think from just a cinematic point of view, the pose and the sculpt itself is absolutely beautiful. So what do you think about this Thorin sculpt when comparing it to others?
Quite a lot of the Thorin sculpts are quite dynamic, I think. But this one I think is just more out of the movie and makes him look more like the king under the mountain with that robe on and some beautiful freehand at the bottom.
That certainly is.
As well.
Always, Kev with his freehand, particularly on cloaks. He's got that technique down to an absolute T. Now, what I really like about this, I really like the fur effect that he's done in contrast with the kind of black, very dark blue cloak. It's very dark blue black cloak, isn't it? Like a midnighty kind of blue black kind of colour. But that in contrast with the kind of browny, almost lion beary kind of it's got that kind of blondness to it. I think that as a contrast works really well, especially then when next to the gold trimmings on the armour. Kev should by now be an absolute expert of doing gold armour. I know that he had a huge amount of fun with the Easterlings. So that's one thing that I really like about this miniature, and probably one of my favourite parts is his cloak itself. How about you?
Yeah, I love what Kev's done with all of them, but like what always stands out with all of Kev's models, I think, are the eyes.
Yes.
Are absolutely insane.
So if we bring him in ever so slightly closer, and Kev's got a really good way of doing this. It's something that he has taught me, although one thing that he's very good at doing is making the eyes kind of pop out, so it almost looks like someone has drawn them on.
Yeah, it does exactly.
It doesn't look like someone's had to do it with a paintbrush. So whereas myself, I'll do the trick of kind of dragging the white across and then doing a little black triangle. He almost gets an eyeliner around the bottom and top lid, which of course makes them pop that extra bit. Now some people could look at them and say it makes them look a bit more cartoony, but when you're looking at a miniature from a distance in particular, it really makes it pop out. So absolutely love Thorin, and of course it's your first time using him today.
Yeah. Didn't get much chance to use him in his full capacity.
No, and there are of course reasons for that.
Yeah, he got transfixed.
He did, and that's because he's target priority. He's such a beast. He can do so much. And in the Champions of Erebor version, doesn't he get a free heroic combat?
Yeah, every turn without losing might.
Wow, so he never got an opportunity to do that at all. Well, you could have done to force his combats to be first, but I guess it never really made sense.
Didn't make much difference, I don't think.
Didn't make any difference. It's an absolute gorgeous miniature. Anything else you'd like to say about this guy?
Not really. Like, if I'd played with him more, I would. But
yeah, stunning. I'm really looking forward to doing mine, and I'll certainly be using this and this video for inspiration when I paint up my Thorin King Under the Mountain.
It's definitely got some detail in the sword as well.
Yes.
Which is quite cool.
So if
whereas I'm sure, like, if I'd painted it myself, probably wouldn't have got that gold running down the middle.
I find with Kev, one of the things that I really like about Kev's work of Shadow and Flame is you look to his miniatures when you're painting your own, and it's noticing the little things like that and trying to add it to your own skill set tends to be the things that set it apart. So I'm constantly asking Kev little things like, okay, so how are you achieving that wood effect? How are you achieving that fur effect? How are you achieving that free hand? How are you achieving those eyes? And Kev is always willing to help. So he is a busy guy, but do get in contact with him if you ever need any help, or get yourself onto the Shadow and Flame Facebook page and speak to those guys there. So I think after Thorin, there's no better place to come than with Bilbo Baggins. Next up, it's me dog. It's Bilbo Baggins. It's Bilbo Baggins. So here he is, the burglar, master burglar, Bilbo. So of course this is Bilbo after he has been in Erebor, of course. Yeah. So he's got his blue coat. I like.
Okay, it's got all the mithril.
Mithril, exactly.
Sting, everything now.
There are a few Bilbo poses out there. This one's an interesting one because it's quite unique. It's very different from a lot of the others. So talk me through why you like this particular Bilbo.
Well, I like this one just because it does look like he's trying to get out of Erebor, if anything, away from Smaug. And the way that Kev's done the coat obviously makes it look even better with that bright blue in there. And
that's something that we really should have picked up when we were talking about Thorin as well, is all of these sculpts very much look like they are drawn straight from the movies from particular points.
Yeah.
So I think definitely with all of the dwarves, it's that bit where they're coming out, they're rushing out
just
of
into the
Erebor.
fray. Yeah.
Whereas Bilbo, it does look a little bit more like he's creeping around, which fits completely with Mr. Baggins. So let's talk a little bit about some of the techniques that he has managed with this guy. Now, it's always a little bit tougher. Again, you can see with his eyes, standard Kev awesomeness. And of course, we've got the blue here, the blue cloak. Now, a lot harder to get detail on a small miniature like this, but Kev still manages to do it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He still manages to do that. I do like the hair colour. He seems to have got down to a T.
He does look very much like straight out of the movie.
And
he's got it.
Particularly from that angle that I have there, very, very, very much looks like Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Which is what you want.
And even like just the fur on his feet and stuff as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that as well. The little details like fur on his feet, or even the fur lining. Again, I think that's
the coat.
I think that's what I'm going to be contacting Kev about when I start painting some of the 40k for Hot Gates Gaming.
Yeah.
With the Space Wolves. Because he's really got the fur down to an absolute T, and of course there's nice contrasts in there because you've got the blue, and then of course you've got that green marbly colour below, which works really, really well. Now Bilbo, the Hobbit profile Bilbo, is actually pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, he is immense with the one ring.
Yeah, with that one ring, and I've seen him used pretty effectively. Our very own Damien O'Byrne has used him quite effectively, almost like a bat swarm, really. Going around assisting heroes, assisting the likes of Thorin Oakenshield, halving fight values of other heroes and trying to nullify those. And Bilbo's very good in partnership with other heroes in that kind of role. Now I'm actually thinking about bringing a Bilbo Baggins, which I will be showing you in a miniature showcase rather than a army showcase. Which Kev did for me, which is the one from the Escape from Goblin Town set.
Oh, that's a nice one.
It is a nice one. I think possibly my favourite one of the Hobbit range might be the one of him leaping over the log. I really like that, and again I particularly like the way that our very own Damien O'Byrne has done that. It's
that's nice.
Very dynamic, nice paint job. But this is a beautiful, beautiful job. Any more to say about Mr. Baggins? You love him?
Yeah, he is lovely, and just to get him in with the whole group of them as well.
Of course, this is The Hobbit, so where you want to be featuring The Hobbit himself. So we're going to move on to the next couple of miniatures. So next up, it is brothers, and of course nephews of the King Under the Mountain. It is Fili and Kili. Now what I really like about what he's done here, again coming in and there are blues, but it's the fact that there is that little bit of a tie-in between the two, with having the colours. So let's talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, again, sort of on one of them, Kev did tell me that there was a bit of a miscast somewhere, but I cannot find it anywhere. So all credit to him for painting them up in sort of hiding that completely. But again, the blue on Fili, I particularly love on his tunic. Especially mixed in with the chainmail, where he's got a little bit of a different colour on the bottom of that as well. Yeah,
it makes a big difference. It's something that he did on the Eowyn that he did for me, and again another one of those techniques which I took on when I was doing the Sons of El chainmail. Just to make them that little bit more special, doing that little gold, bronzy gold rings along the bottom. Makes a huge difference.
And just the armour on Kili himself is slightly tinged. It's not completely silver. And it's got a little bit mixed in there as well. Yeah, which of course,
I also think it doesn't look like it's completely brand new. It looks like it's
been sat in Erebor.
Exactly, it looks like it's been sat in Erebor, and the way that he's achieved that technique is absolutely superb. Now another thing, I think it's a credit to the sculpts as well as Kev's work, but particularly Kili, the brown hair, that's right, isn't it? Yeah. Particularly Kili, it looks like him.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't a fan of Kili sculpts, I've heard. They think he looks very feminine.
Well, he's a bit of a pretty boy anyway, isn't he? Genuinely. But I think that, I don't know if it's a combination of both Kev's work, it must be, but Kev's work and the sculpt, but I think that very much looks like him. And again, lots of nice little neat bits of detail, contrast between the golds, the silvers and the blues. It really does have that kind of Erebor feel on both of them. So if we just give them a little bit of a spin around just to see a little bit of the extra detail, try not to finger the model too much. There we go. Now, I really like the way that he's also got the quilted effect on the model.
Yeah.
The way that that's put in, like so. And then of course this guy is looking a little bit more armoured at the back there. So they are pretty good. Now, how do these guys get on in the game? Because they're effectively just basic captains.
They are basic captains.
So 2/1/1 profiles.
Yeah.
With 2 attacks.
Yeah, reasonable fight at 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they actually performed really well in that last battle report, didn't they? So
no spoilers. I think the battle report will be up on Hotgates Gaming before that, but if you haven't gone and seen that, do go and check out my channel, Hotgates Gaming, for more Hobbit strategy battle gaming battle reports. There's my plug in. Now these guys, have they got special rules when they're Champions of Erebor?
As a collective, they have duplicar, I think.
No, do these 2 in particular have special?
They have like a bodyguard type rule when Thorin's on the board. It is duplicar. And then they do have combat synergy as well.
Have you ever used combat synergy?
No, I think I've only ever seen it once, and that might have been on the channel somewhere.
I think it might have been at Goblin Town.
Yeah.
It might have been Jamie Gbhl doing Goblin Town with Billy Fitzmaurice. So that's these guys. Now, Dubicar, you need to have all of them on there, do you? Or
no, Dubicar is just for Fili and Kili.
Oh, right, okay. And what is that?
If they're in range of Thorin, he acts as a banner within 6 inches.
So we didn't play that at all. So we're going to hand this. I'll put a little note on the battle report. But you can see that it could be pretty handy. Of course, the Thorin's Company and Champions of Erebor, they're not optimised hero lists. They're reasonably cheap for what they're bringing to the table. Yeah. There are effectively a lot of captains and named captains with special rules that synergise and help each other out. But in terms of how these guys look, again, I think these guys look beautiful. So we're going to move on. I'm going to show you the next pairing now. And we're moving on to the next 2 brothers. 2 that we might see a little bit more again because they can be used to lead Warriors of Erebor. And I like in those lists. We have got Balin and Dwalin. So there was a lot of hype about Dwalin.
There is huge hype about Dwalin.
Huge about Dwalin. Why do we have that hype about Dwalin when he's a champion of Erebor?
It's that defense has gone up again, so he's defense 8.
Yeah, so that was one of his frailties before, wasn't it?
Yeah. Obviously he's strength 5, which is huge. And then he's got his axes where he can two-handed without
Burley, and he still gets 3 attacks to do that.
Still gets 3 attacks with that, but then he can also have 4 attacks.
So if he's up against it, surrounded, looking a little bit vulnerable, and he needs to win the fight, then he can use 4. But being strength 5 and being able to do Burley two-handed is pretty good because you're going to need 3s or 4s against most things. So that's why we're going to see him floating around, and of course he's also got his fight 6. He is a bit more expensive, one of the dwarves. Yeah,
he's 115.
115, so a little bit more expensive, but pretty competitive to say the least. Does he have any other special rules?
It's the King's Axeman, so that's the 4 attacks or 3. He has Burley Fearless, so he doesn't have to take.
Oh, so that's another thing that we did.
Swarm Protector.
Oh, okay.
So, Swarm Protector. I'm not sure.
Swarm Protector's in the rulebook. Yeah. And it's one that has never come up apart from for these guys.
I think it's when he's within a distance within Thorin, he gets he passes his courage tests and things like that. So
basically like a former bodyguard. Yeah. But then on the other end of the spectre, we've got the usually much cheaper Balin.
Yeah, he's almost half of what Dwalin is.
Half of what Dwalin is, and of course you usually bring him for different reasons when you bring him part of the actual Thorin's Company list. But in this, has he got pretty much the same kind of rules, except he's the higher armor, higher defense.
He gains Swarm Protector as well.
Gains Swarm Protector, but he's still got his Longbeard special rule. Yeah. But let's have a little bit of a look at the models themselves. So looking at these guys, what immediately pops out to you?
With Balin, I think it's the wrinkles that he's managed to get on the forehead.
So let's, always hard to do that when let's have a little bit of a...
I think look really, really good.
Wow. Yeah,
and I think it looks really close.
And also if you look towards the bottom of the miniature with the free hand, I think the contrast, the tunic, and then also the crisscrosses down the lining of the tunic, as well as the freehand as it goes round. The gold trim, I think the colours work really well with each other there. Having that kind of, it's almost like a lilac-y colour, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lilac-y colour against the kind of yellowy golds. Is beautiful. So an absolutely stunning miniature. So we'll push him back. So again, just being able to achieve those bits of detail. It also just shows off what wonderful miniatures these are from Games Workshop. They've done a fantastic job, I think. And on this guy, what stands out for you?
It's got to be the tattoos on top of his head.
Tattoos on the top of his head. So look at that for a bit of freehand work. Very, 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 very impressive.
Class. And then obviously he's got the greens in here for Dwalin, which look really good against like his browns and golds on his armour.
It certainly does, that kind of quilted green underneath, and again it's just those little bits of gold trimmings.
Yeah.
It really makes him pop as well, sort of on the edges of his armour. We spin him around.
And as we were saying earlier with like the woodwork on the handles of the axes and things.
But also if you look at his scale kind of mail coming off, there's gold worked in, there's like a gold pattern coming on those, unless that's a trick of the camera. He's got a gold.
No, there are a few tinges of different things in there.
That's wonderful.
He's got like silvers, golds. I think there's a little bit of brown in there as well.
Beautiful, and you can also see the wood effect, which I've talked about many times on hobby vlogs, going down his main axe there and on the axe shaft there. So if anybody ever wants to know how to do that, you can always ask me, because it's the same thing that I do now, although not quite as good, I have to say. So there we go, Dwalin and Gbhl. Two good profiles in very different ways, but both beautiful, beautiful miniatures. And we're going to move on to the next bunch. And again, it's two brothers with very, very different profiles.
Hugely different, yeah.
Hugely different profiles, but also a very, very different look. So we've got on our left Gloin. Your favourite of these guys?
One of, yeah.
One of. Are you a big Gimli fan? Is that right?
I'm a huge Gimli fan.
Huge Gimli fan. And then of course we have Gimli's uncle Oin over on the right hand side. To talk a little bit about the aesthetic of these guys first of all.
I quite like Gloin just because he is like a combat machine. Yeah. And he is quite, he's huge. So him just striding forward as if he hasn't got any worries in the world, he's just going to take out anything. Yeah. I think it's really cool with the sculpt. And
it's all the redness as well. It's the auburn hair, it's the red cloak.
Yeah, which ties in like the link with Gimli.
Of course it does. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's that I mean business kind of walking forward pose. I also liked the Escape from Goblin Town pose for Gloin, and he's very much more of a combat based.
Yeah.
He's got the three attacks and re-rolling wounds and the like. Yeah. That's right, isn't it? But then in contrast, we have Oin. Now Oin is very different, isn't he?
Yes, he's the healer of the group. And what he can do is he can help members of the company regain wounds, or if not all of their wounds that they've lost. So on a roll of a 1 to a 3, it has no effect. 4 and 5, they regain 1 wound, and of a 6, they regain all the wounds that they've lost. Wow,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Didn't get to see it in action. And again, one thing I like that he has done with him in particular is getting those wrinkles on the forehead.
Yeah.
Wrinkles on the forehead, and it's really bringing character into him. And again, he's a very different kind of painting colour from some of the others.
Because he is that healer, he's got lots of stuff going on as well.
Yeah.
Like he's got lots of little boxes and sort of like trinkets going around his belt.
So there's lots more kind of neutral colours. I really like the kind of, there's a little bit, lots of light browns and mustardy kind of colours, but then you've got that popping in contrast against the sort of deep dark reddy browns on his shield and his scabbard.
Yeah.
And then of course the grey hair. So really, really beautiful miniature there.
Yeah, and even more great woodwork on there on the inside of the shield as well.
So if we have a little bit of a look on the inside.
Might show it off a little bit more.
Oh yeah, there we go. So isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
And it's all those little things accumulating together, which is one of the things that makes Kev Lawrence's work so good. But of course, he's only as good as sometimes the miniatures which are put in front of him. Yes. And the more I look at these guys, the more I think these are amazing sculpts. So certainly, if you haven't managed to get hold of these, are they out of production now?
No, they're still there.
They're still there.
You can still buy them as a whole group, I believe.
I think that these would be a good one to go and pick up, because especially if you're a hobbyist out there and just looking to paint some miniatures, they look like they'd be a lot of fun to paint, as well as play with. So that is these two guys, two very, very different kinds of profiles, two different painting schemes as well, but both looking absolutely stunning. And we'll move on to the next group. It's more family members. It's Biffa, Bomber, and Biffa, Bofa, and Bomber. So here we go. So again, 3 absolutely stunning poses, very dynamic. Look like they're really going at it, particularly Bomber, it has to be said. Let's have a little bit of a look over at Bomber. So you see he's got that big mace thing there, and his armour is slightly different. He's not got sort of the scale armour, he's more got plate armour. So kind of
what he could fit into, I guess.
I guess so. So let's give him a little bit of a twist around. Again, we're seeing some reds being brought in, and the Auburn, so slightly more Gloin-esque in some ways, but very much fitting the aesthetic of the movie. Really, really gorgeous model, as we say.
You might have actually seen Kev putting up photos of him on Facebook of how he did the beard.
Oh wow.
He actually starts with bright yellow.
Yeah, it always surprises me what he starts with.
And then he uses lots of washes and things to bring it out to where it is, and then puts final highlights on it.
He's insane, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, who would do such a thing? But it's very interesting to achieve final colours. Sometimes you have to really go off and do completely different things. And I know that doing multiple layers of different washes is something that Kev's a huge fan of. So he's done a great job with him. Anything in particular that stands out for Bomber for you?
I think the beard is the thing that most strikes me, like especially after knowing how he did it as well. And I quite like his little bald spot on top of his head as well.
Yeah. Very
nicely.
Cool. Very cool. And in terms of profile, what kind of things can he do? So Bomber, is he more of a? He's more like a captain again.
He's more like a captain. He's slightly lower defence than a lot of the others.
So he's defence 7.
Yeah, so he's squishy compared to the others, but he's got 3 wounds though.
2 wounds, so can sustain it in that sense.
Yeah, but he's got things like lumbering, where he has to re-roll jump tests, climb tests if he gets a 6.
So lots of fluffy rules in there, and that's another thing that we love about Thorin's company. Very cool. Very cool. So over to his left we have Bofa.
Yeah.
Bofa in the middle. James Nesbitt himself, and again you can really see the likeness there, straight out of the movies. There are some cool little details here, such as I think his woolen gloves.
Hat and gloves, the little woolen bit just on the top of the brim of his hat. Sort of.
Yeah. Tiny little detail that some people might miss out on, but looks absolutely stunning. And also bits of fur on his boots. A very interesting looking weapon as well, and more of a gold style of armour here.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting. It fits in nicely with that kind of woolen and fur look elsewhere. So what do you think about this guy?
This guy's, like, obviously you said he looks just like Jimmy Nesbitt out of the film, and Kev again has made it look even better with how he's done it, and sort of I think again it's when you come to the faces and things, Kev really excels there, I feel.
Yeah.
And then like again with the same as all the others, like tiny bits of wooden detail on the handles of things, and just picking out little bits and pieces that like I wouldn't have seen myself if I'd painted them.
Little bits on the belt buckles, and just lots of consideration for using lots of different contrasting colours that kind of complement each other and really break up the miniature so that the detail pops out. And that's one of the things you can really tell with him. And then finally over here we have Biffa. So similar kind of colours really to Bofa.
Yeah.
So the gold armours and the like. What do we like about this guy?
This guy is the difference that he's got in his beard.
Yeah.
You can see that he's got the greys and the blacks sort of alternate going down there.
Which is very cool. So you can tell that he's starting to grey.
Yeah.
It's kind of coming through in patches.
Starting to get stressed with all the fighting.
The key thing with techniques like that is making it look like it's supposed to be like that, rather than it's an accident. Yeah, it's something that's happened by accident when you've been painting it, and it's something that you've not done right. So to make it actually look like that's the effect that you're going for is very clever. So that's Biffa, Bofa and Bomber. Biffa and Bomber, they're slightly more combat-y, aren't they? They've got more combat orientated.
And then obviously Biffa's got his special rule with his axe coming out of his head.
Yeah.
And Bofa can actually pull that out.
Oh wow, brilliant. So some nice fluffy rules in there for those guys as well. So we're going to move on from them and we're going to go into the next and final grouping.
Yeah.
And finally, who do we have here?
We have Ori, Dory and Nori.
Ori, Dory and Nori. So let's start off with our chap in the middle, which is
Dory.
Yeah, now, Dory is actually
fussy one.
He's the fussy one, but he's quite good in combat, isn't he?
He has 3 attacks.
3 attacks,
yeah. 3 attacks.
Mr. Gbhl very much rates Dory.
Yeah, weapons master in this profile as well, so he can go 2-handed without the -1.
That's pretty good.
He's got the Sworn Protector, and if you have got Bilbo,
Mm-hmm.
he can swap and change his Might, Will and Fate. He can lend those to Bilbo.
Oh, that's very handy, and vice versa as well.
No, I think it's just the one way. Yeah, it's just Dory lending to Bilbo.
That's very, very, very interesting. So again, we've got some nice reds in here, but they do work in contrast with, I mean, the wrinkles on the face with this guy is superb. Let's get in and really...
and then tied in with like the beard and stuff as well.
Exactly.
Just does look
class. He's massively making that hair pop. He's done a superb job on.
Yeah, which I think fits really well with like the character from the films as well.
Yeah.
Being the fussy character that he is.
It certainly is, and when we turn it to the side again, you can really see that kind of definition between the hair. He's done a fantastic job. It's a wonderful mix of silvers, golds, the red trimmings. Just all comes together to make a beautiful miniature. It's a lovely pose as well, a bit different. I'm talking about lovely poses. We've got the guy over here. So this one here is
Nori.
This is Nori, and Nori's a bit combat-y as well, is he? Is it Nori?
He is He's got weapons master as well.
Yep.
But he's just apart from that basic sort of captain with the high defense.
Yep. And I think my favourite thing about this guy is the shield.
Yeah, the shield is awesome. Is it the hog on the front that he's got? Sort of motif.
Is it a hog? It's something.
It's something.
Something, but it's very cool. Again, it's those kind of dark reds, but they work quite nicely in contrast with the fact that he's got some pale kind of greens and blondes. Sort of as you go around him, and of course he's got his blonde hair. And it's a nice pose again, very, very dynamic, very cinematic. And
the way that Kev's managed to get like the hairline with like the skin going down.
Yeah.
The hairline looks really good as well. Just getting like I wouldn't even be able to do that with a fine brush. I don't reckon.
It's superb.
And keep it that tidy.
It's so tidy, isn't it? He's such a perfectionist. But again, it's a lovely model that lends itself to being painted by somebody as talented as he is. So yeah, he's pretty cool. And then we come over to the youngest.
We do. The one who isn't much of a fighter.
Not much of a fighter, no.
Not much of a fighter.
Although, you know, he doesn't not look like it with his model. His model looks like he's going for it.
He is a bit better, I think, in this one. Obviously, he's got the high defense again. He's up to 7.
Yep.
And this time you can regain Might, Will or Fate when another hero within 3 inches kills a hero or monster.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. Does he still have his slingshot in this one, or has he lost that?
He loses the slingshot in this.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? But look at the eyes and the face on this guy. Again, really managing to make him pop, and also make him look like he is that younger dwarf. Just the way that he's kept that face pretty bald, looking pretty naive almost with the wider eyes. And then you've of course got the blondie browns of the hair contrasting nicely across that miniature, which has got a few more of those kind of lighter leather kind of tones in it, and the pale greens. So there we go, that's the final 3, I believe, from the Champions of Erebor. So we're going to come back and we're going to show a couple of final shots of the group of them and conclude this army showcase. And here they are again, all together in their glory. So absolutely beautifully painted miniatures by Mr. Shadow and Flame. I'm pretty sure that you feel very blessed and lucky that you're going to get to use these going forwards. Yeah, I can't wait to get them on the table again. And have a few more games. Of course, we've got to use some of them here before. You're gonna be struggling to get some 1,000-point plus games. Because how much do they come to in total? Is it 1,000 points? It's like 1,090 points or something. How many points is Bilbo? 90. Oh, so you drop him and... You drop him and just have the 13 dwarves, And just have the 13 dwarves comes to 1,000 points. But then if you give Thorin or Christ, it boosts up the points over that 1,000 again, I think. Of course it does. So yeah, I mean, getting to 1,000 point tournament, I'm not sure if there are many of those this year, but if you can get them to 1,000 point tournament, that's got to be great fun. Yeah. These guys are going to be great fun to use. They're not optimised, but they're beautiful, beautiful miniatures, stunning poses. Even just looking at these guys here, I think one of the things that I love about Kev Lawrence's work, and this isn't just an ongoing advert for him, this either, he probably is working out like that, is that I just think it really shows off the best of a miniature. So one of the things that I found, no offence to anybody who actually painted them, but with a lot of the Hobbit miniatures on the Games Workshop website and even on some of the box art, particularly some of the later stuff and the heroes, I don't think sold the miniatures as well as it could have done. No. It looked like relatively kind of rushed jobs. Yeah, it does look like they've just tried to get it for photos and then produce all the stuff for it. Whereas it makes a huge difference when you look down at something like this, because you see this and you want to be in the Battle of the Five Armies movies,
Yeah.
you know, and you want to be playing and being immersed in this. And I can imagine these guys making fantastic scenario pieces for things around that kind of that part of the movie.
Yeah, and definitely hoping for Games Workshop to bring out some more dwarves to couple them up with as well. I think that would look phenomenal.
That would look very, very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, James.
Cool.
I hope you've enjoyed being here.
Yeah, definitely.
And showing off your beautiful miniatures. Yeah, getting to talk and look at our favourite toy soldiers, which is always good fun. And I hope you guys out there have enjoyed having a really good look at these absolutely masterfully painted and sculpted Champions of Erebor. Remember, if you want to see some of these guys in action, do go and check out Hotgates Gaming, where there will be a battle report with them, where they have to rescue Gandalf from the dungeons of Dol Guldur, against very much a Dol Guldur-y kind of Morgul theme.
It was very sort of like spellcasty, sort of dark spirity type thing, wasn't it?
It was very cool and absolutely amazing fun to play in.
Great
No
battle.
spoilers here, but we'll direct you towards that. Go check that out, and make sure you comment below and get involved in the discussion. Which one of these is your favourite? Have you painted them? Maybe pop some pictures up on our GBHL podcast Facebook page, or tweet us at I Love Wargaming and let us know how you're getting on with these guys. Or if you plan on bringing them to any of the tournaments this year across the Great British Hobbit League, hopefully I'll get to see them myself at the Desolation of Stockport, maybe the Throne of Skulls, or Ardacon.
Yes, definitely.
Later in the year, which you're going to be attending. So you can do this with me. Let's see if you can do it. Don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe.
Support your Hobbit hobby.
Support your Hobbit host by checking the links in the video description below.
Happy battles. Battle gaming.
We always give everybody a chance. Make sure you like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, support your Hobbit hobby, and
happy battle.
strategy battle gaming.